Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, Carisha RN. Hey y'all. First, I don't know why I'm wearing a sweater right now. I know it's officially fall, but where I am, it's still 90 some odd degrees outside. I guess I just really wanted to feel like fall. It's my favorite season, football season, all that great stuff. But it's still 90 some odd degrees. Anywho, this video is going to be about how I passed the Nclex in 75 questions and what I used to prepare for that. So I graduated August 9th and I took my Nclex on 9/11. And my school, we used ATI throughout the program, and that was like our Nclex preparation. And I also asked a lot of nurses throughout my clinical placements what they used to prepare for the Nclex. And a lot of people told me that they just used ATI, or they used ATI in Uworld or Kaplan and Saunders and different things like that. And I ultimately had to do what I thought would be best for my own preparation. And that's ultimately what everyone should be doing. I definitely say look into all of those options and see what's going to be the best fit for you. But I chose to utilize the ATI program because I had already paid for it. And I also purchased Uworld. So my ATI, at the end of, after we graduated, they had like a 3-day intensive review session at the school for us to go to for free. I didn't go. I would not recommend that to anyone. If you have that option and that resource, utilize it 100%. I do regret not going. I wish I had gone. Honestly, I was just tired. For me, I commute to school, and it is a 45+ minute drive from my home to where I went to school, and I just didn't feel like doing it. I graduated. I barely graduated at that. I literally didn't know if I was graduating until 2 days before, 2 days before graduation. I didn't even know I was graduating. So I was just kind of done. Would I recommend that to anyone? Absolutely not. If your school has some type of review course, I would definitely say utilize it. And I utilize the questions, like they have the ATI, it's like adaptive quiz thing, and I use that a little bit. Honestly, I didn't use it as much as I used Uworld. So yeah, ATI and I didn't get along with those ATI tests throughout the program. And I didn't like the format of the questions. I didn't really like the rationales they had. I just wasn't a fan, but I did use it a little bit. Uworld was primarily what I used to study. And I'll talk more about my Uworld experience in a little bit, but I'm also going to talk to you about how I got to that point of choosing Uworld. So like I said, I asked a lot of my clinical instructors. They recommended it. Some recommended Kaplan. I looked into Kaplan and their books, and before I purchased anything, like I physically went to the bookstore and looked in these books, and I did not like the rationales. Like, to me, the rationales weren't detailed enough. Like, Uworld rationales were very detailed. Kaplan, not so much. Like, it didn't give me answers that I wanted. The Saunders books, I had one Saunders book, and it's more about how to take a test, and I really did like that because I did struggle in nursing school with test taking. I had never in my whole life struggled with taking a test until I got to nursing school, and those were a different type of test, and I did struggle taking those tests. So I did have a test examination skills book that I really liked from Saunders, but I'm also just not a very big book person because you're preparing to take a test that's on a computer. I wanted to prepare that same way. That's another reason I picked Uworld. And then I know some people use HESI. I didn't really look into HESI. I'm not really sure what all that is about, because like I said, my school used ATI, we weren't HESI. But yeah, so I decided to use Uworld, and I got the 90-day package thing because I was like, what if I fail the first time? So I need to prepare just in case I fail my first time. And I used Uworld, and I did about 100 questions a day for about 3 weeks. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get through that whole question bank. And I did the practice tests. Actually, no, I only did one practice test. There were 2, and I did 1. And that Uworld was it was weird. I had mixed feelings on Uworld. I really liked how the setup looked just like the Nclex. That was fantastic. Like, I went in and I wasn't surprised by how it looked. So that was a plus for me. And it was also on a computer, same way as the Nclex is. And it also had an app, which I was also on the go a lot. So for them to have an app, I was able in car rides to answer questions while I was sitting at appointments, answer questions. Like, I was utilizing all of my time to answer questions. So through the app and the website, those were some perks for me. But it was the questions that kind of threw me. I guess maybe I was more prepared than I thought for the Nclex, but the Uworld questions were so specific. And you read the rationales and you get a good understanding. And I was like, okay, I'm answering. And my percentiles, I was like getting like 68s to 80s on the like tests I would take. And I would do like the random where they selected from all categories. And I also did some like I focused on certain topics. So like different topic centered tests as well. Like, I needed to work more on my prioritization and delegation for me. So for you, it might be different. You might need to work more on your adult or peds or maternity or mental health or whatever. But for me, it was definitely delegation and prioritization. And I really had to focus in on those two. As well as, I did some from every topic. And then my test, I got a 70-something% with like a high likelihood of chance of passing, a high likelihood of passing. And by the time I went into the test, I think my overall performance percentile was like in the 94th percentile. But keep in mind, I didn't do all those questions. I don't even think I got through 1,000 of the questions, to be honest, in the question bank. Don't do that. If you're gonna buy it, use the product. I wish I had utilized it more, but I did not. Another thing for me was, like I said, the questions were so detailed. And when I took the Nclex, I felt like those questions were more vague. And I was sitting there questioning, ooh, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? I don't know. But I feel like that's also, sorry, the camera moved. That's my dog. He's very interested in what's happening over here. But I felt that I wasn't, like, the types of questions between ATI and Uworld, the types of questions Uworld were asking were more like what was on the Nclex than the ATI questions were. The ATI questions to me the format was off. But for Rhett, chill out. Stop. Thank you. Okay, sorry. So the Uworld questions were more like the Nclex questions, but they were just very specific. Nclex was just kind of vague, and I felt like I was questioning everything. And I'm going through taking the test, and I'm like, and y'all know it's adaptive, so the more you get right, the harder the questions get, and if you get it wrong, it gets easier. I was like, I don't know if these questions are easy or hard. I took the first question, I was like, okay, I got this. The second question, I was like, I don't know. I didn't know anything after that. I had no clue. So when I hit 75 questions, and it shut off, I was just in there like, my mouth just dropped and I could have cried. So I was like, I don't know if I failed. I don't know if I passed. I don't know what just happened. Like, how was I just tested? And I know I can't talk about the types of questions I had, but the styles, select all that apply was on there. I want to say about 85% of my test was select all that apply. And I hate select all that apply. In nursing school, those were always the ones I got wrong. It was either I selected one too many or I didn't select enough. And and of course, I used the test taking tip of like, read the question. If it's true, select the answer. If it's false, don't select it. But I didn't know if I just, at the end of that test, I did not know how I did. I could have passed. I could have failed. I cried. I laughed. I was relieved. I was stressed. I was praying to all the gods. I didn't know what was going on. So after the 75, I had to do this research portion or whatever. And that was a waste of my time. But it was over with. And after I got the email from Pearson VUE that you get after you take the test, I did the Pearson VUE trick and it did show that I passed. And literally 24 hours later, I'm in Georgia. So my license literally popped up 24 hours later. So I knew, I was like, well, I guess I passed for my license to pop up. But that's pretty much what I used. Uworld, ATI, Kaplan wasn't my favorite, but for some people Kaplan works, Saunders works, Hesse works. You have to figure out what works best for you and your study method. And would I 100% recommend Uworld? No, it really just depends on you and how you prepare best for a test. Maybe that's a book for you. Maybe ATI questions are better for you. I personally really liked Uworld. Would I say I felt like it had prepared me significantly? I don't know. The rationales were fantastic though. Read through, if you get Uworld, read through all the rationales because they were fantastic. Loved them. But honestly, you have to make that choice. I think Uworld was worth the investment. Now I have Uworld and it's sitting there until like November or something because I got 90 days and now I'm not using it. But definitely check it out. Try the trial out. Do the little free practice test and see if you like it. And also check out all the other options before you settle in on investing. I don't want to say it's like spending money, but you're investing because that test is expensive. That was $200. I was not trying to pay it again. So whatever tool you choose to invest in, make sure it's best for your learning style. And also remember, if you don't pass, everyone's journey is not the same. So if you don't pass in 75 questions, it's okay. If you don't pass the first time, it's okay. The Nclex doesn't define your worth. It doesn't define your capabilities or your knowledge. It's a test. It's a standardized test. So yes, it is what leads to your RN certification, but you are more than that. So don't feel defeated or discouraged if your journey is different than others. And just don't let that one test define anything about you. So hopefully you guys like this video. Make sure you hit subscribe and the little notification bell so that way you can be notified every time I post a new video every Wednesday. Hopefully you enjoy it, like it, share it with your friends, and I'll see you guys next week.